Judicial Watch has just released FBI documents on that clandestine meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch on the Phoenix tarmac at the airport there. 29 pages of emails previously withheld by the Justice Department. They detail a frenzied, wild hunt within the FBI, looking for a source who talked to a reporter about the controversial 2016 meeting. That is, they were looking for the leaker. The messages show almost no concern over the actual meeting itself, its propriety, and what was discussed. Astonishing. Joining me now, Chris Farrell. He's the Director of Investigations and Research for Judicial Watch. It's good to see you. And let's start with this 29 pages. You win, you get the documents, and it turns out the FBI and the Justice Department are concerned just about who leaked the meeting to local reporters and to national newspapers, i.e. the New York Observer. I mean, you couldn't make this up. It is so infuriating, so disgusting.
Well, and remember that first the FBI lied to us.
Right, I do.
They said that they
denying
had no
that those
records.
Pages existed.
Correct. And then they finally kind of sheepishly came around to admit their existence. And even now, the redactions that they've made, hiding the names of people involved, is pretty cowardly and dishonest. And the punchline.
Well, wait a minute. We shouldn't just go by that. We're talking about the FBI here.
Sure.
Cowardly,
and dishonest. Absolutely.
And dishonest.
Well, I mean, who are the people involved? Who made the decisions? What do they have to hide? These are United States government officials, sworn law enforcement officers, and somehow they're hiding their identities of who is involved in trying to track down the person who let the press know that the former president and the attorney general were having a clandestine meeting.
Let me just quote from the documents, your pages, that an FBI official wrote, quote, "We need to find that guy," and that the Phoenix FBI office was contacted in an attempt to stem any further damage. I mean, this is appalling. And you know you've got the Attorney General of the United States and the former president lying when they say they were talking about grandchildren and golf. I mean, it's absolutely asinine. Let me turn to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I spoke with two good friends of mine who are recently retired FBI agents today about that sort of punchline about, we got to find this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about despicable. What were they going to do when they found that guy?
Well, the same thing they did with the Inspector General at the State Department who crossed Hillary Clinton. Well, you know what they're going to do. These are people who are retaliating, intimidating. You're either on their political team or you're not on the department team. It's pretty clear that's the way it works for the Dems.
You nailed it.
All right, let's turn to today, the arrest of the plea of guilty on the part of General Michael Flynn to a count of lying to the FBI, heaven forbid, but we don't know what he lied about specifically that is material that would result in his future of perhaps spending 5 years in prison.
First off, Lieutenant General Flynn made a grave error, obviously, and it resulted in his firing. So there's no new information here. It's sad. I mean, he's a wonderful, honorable, great intelligence officer, but obviously he had an error in judgment, misspoke, got in trouble with the vice president, and put himself in a position where he leaves under a cloud. That's very unfortunate for a man who gave 35 years of his life to the country.
It is sad. It is tragic, but it's also
that being said, though.
Yeah.
This is pretty thin gruel. This is 18 U.S.C. 1001, false official statement. I got a little news for your listening or your viewing audience. If I interview you for more than 2 hours, I can get you on 18 U.S.C. 1001. You will make a false official statement in the course of a 2-hour interview. I guarantee it. So this is the last resort, the last refuge of a failed investigation.
But we need to put this into some context, though.
Yeah, Sandy
General
Berger.
Flynn was unmasked by the Obama administration. He was, as Ty Cobb, the president's attorney, said, he was an Obama official until he was fired at DIA.
Correct.
This is a mess within a mess, and it continues, and it is dangerous to the republic. It is an outrage that this amount of money and time and effort is being spent to subvert this administration.
Look, Mueller's on a scalp hunting expedition, and this is, exhibit 3 or 4 of that. You want to look for a criminal when it comes to national security advisor? Look at Sandy Berger. He stole documents relating to 9/11
from the National Archives.
From the archives and destroyed them. There's a criminal act.
Well, I think we've got some pretty clear criminal acts, or at least apparent criminal acts. We don't have to go any farther than Hillary Clinton.
Correct.
Whether we're talking about the email scandal, whether we're talking about the Clinton Foundation, whether we're talking about an administration, in this instance, that waits to it has less than a month left in office before President Obama decides to retaliate against the Russians for their intervention in our elections. He does absolutely nothing about Crimea. What would you call that? And shouldn't there be a statute that covers that kind of wrongheadedness and absolutely absurd actions in foreign policy?
Well, it's criminal negligence is what it is.
It is. But where are we going with this? And why isn't anyone talking about the context here and the actions of the administration with its unmasking of hundreds and hundreds of officials, American citizens, including members of the Trump transition team? Why in the hell isn't anybody looking at that?
And somebody sat and read a communications intelligence, a signals intelligence transcript to the Washington Post concerning General Flynn. The circle of knowledgeability on that level of information is so small as to be able to, it's a handful of people.
Well, if there's going to be...
Let's find that leaker and let's put them in jail.
Well, I would also like to first those that we know who lied. We know that James Clapper lied. We know that John Brennan, the heads, the NDI and the head of the CIA lied to Congress and to the American people. And yet, Michael Flynn is the fellow who today had to plead guilty to one count. Chris, we always, I was going to say enjoy, but we always learn something talking with you, and we appreciate you being here. Last word.
No, I just think that people need to remember that Comey, the leaker, betrayed his oath, stole government documents, leaked them through a third party to the New York Times, and the dimwits on the Senate Intelligence Committee sat there and thanked him for his service.
Yeah.